Houston has dominated the Big 12 since they joined the conference 2 years ago, and they're about to do the same for a third straight season.
You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the Locked On College Basketball Podcast, the only daily national college hoop show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shane, joined by our good buddy, Leaf Tulane. He's about to take off for Vancouver. I'm not jealous in any way. Oh, yes, I'm completely jealous. Leaf, excited for you, buddy. Y'all are joining us at the place to get your college basketball content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you so much for making us your first listen or watch. And I want to remind you, you can catch every episode ad-free on Amazon Music. Special shout out to all you everydayers here with us and all the great members of the Locked On College Basketball Discord. That link's in the show notes. Hop right on in. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Coming up on the show today, it's going to be a game show Wednesday. I'm super excited for this. Leaf and I are going to play a different game in each of today's 3 segments, all aimed at having some fun conversations about the upcoming season, plus a Friday Facts on Wednesday to wrap up the show. So here's how we're going to do this. Leaf, we're going to start with the game yellow light, green light. I'll explain how that'll work coming up in just a second. Second segment, we're going to move to a game of over-unders, and then we're going to wrap the show with a Friday Facts segment on a Wednesday. Cool. What's cool about this is Leaf and I are both going to play along, and it's a choose your own adventure. I'll explain all that as well. But here's the kicker for the entire show. Leaf has no idea of what's coming. He agreed to it. He said, Isaac, I love playing these games. And so I want to just react in real time. And I think that's fun for everybody to process along with Leaf. So here we go. Let's not waste any more time. Leaf, segment 1, red light, yellow light, green light. Folks, this is how it works. I'm going to make a statement that has something to do with the upcoming college basketball season. Leaf will red light it if he thinks it's a hard no. He'll green light it if he thinks it's a hard yes. And he'll yellow light it if he thinks it's a maybe or whatever. So, Leaf, without much further ado, to quote Derek Zoolander, are you ready?
I'm ready to go. I love these games.
I know you do, man. I know you are geeked out over there right now. So I teased it in the cold open, but this one has to do with Houston. Leaf, red, yellow, or green. The Houston Cougars will win a third straight Big 12 regular season title in their first 3 years in the conference.
I'm going to go with green. I'm not saying this is not a neon green. Like last year, I felt pretty confident that they were the best team in the conference coming in. And that wasn't everyone's take. I think a lot of people believed in Kansas because they reloaded in the portal. But Kansas was so, shaky the year before. And then they got worse this year. The reason I still say green is I think the culture at Houston is second to none right now. I think that Kelvin Sampson retains an All-American caliber point guard in Milos Uzan. And I think that Chris Sinak is not a typical freshman. The only thing I have hesitancy about would be that Houston typically is the upperclassman team. Like this is a team that has 6'8", 240-pound, like linebacker power forwards and centers with 7'6" wingspans. They do have JoJo Tugler still, and that helps. But it is a younger team. But I still think they're the team to beat. I think their backcourt's one of the best in the country. Their front court's going to have some growing pains, but that's a good problem to have when the growing pain involves a guy who I think can be a top 10 pick.
And I think a lot of that you just said is going to be highly dependent on who can be Juwan Roberts, right? Like who can be that just like kind of face of Houston, can be Kelvin Sampson on the floor. Is that JoJo Tugler, right? That helps do that. I think that the person that has the ability to carry that culture over into this new year is going to be critically important. Who do you think plays that kind of Juwan Roberts role for this team?
Well, I mean, you'd hope it's Tugler, but I don't know if that's the personality type. Like Tugler is a fantastic defender. I don't know if he's necessarily the kind of emotional leader that I perceived what Roberts to be. And especially Roberts had such a growth offensively. I don't know if I see that from Tugler. So I think that's where the necessity of Sinak growing is going to be showing. I also I also wonder about just how easily they replace a guy like LJ Cryer. I'm less
Yes.
concerned about that, even though he was an All-American, than I am the culture setter in Roberts, just because I think you can replicate points more easily than you can toughness and just the identity he brought to Houston. But that said, I think Uzon's fantastic. I think having Emmanuel Sharpback's really big. And it's not like that they're lacking for talent. Like Harwell came into Houston. He's one of the better recruits. It's just different. It's not a LJ Cryer, who's one of the best scorers in Texas high school basketball history. And then in his 5th year in college basketball, is an All-American. So I do have some questions. That's why I'm not saying it's a neon green. I just think that they're so hard to beat. I don't think anyone's going to go into the Fertitta Center and beat them. I also don't think that they're going to lose as many road games by virtue of them being road games, because they're not punked as other teams in the Big 12 will be.
Yep. I love it. All right, Leaf. I like the green light. All right, here's the next one. For the 3rd time in the last 4 seasons, a Purdue Boilermaker is going to be your National Player of the Year.
I'm going to go with red, actually.
Okay.
I love it because I love the Boilers. I don't think that Braden Smith will win National Player of the Year. I think someone will be more productive scoring the basketball, and that'll outweigh his 14 and 9, which will be fantastic. It'd probably be Big Ten Player of the Year, but National Player of the Year, I think that the amount of scoring, the proclivity to score wins you the award. And the double doubles of Zach Edey, obviously he was scoring a ton, but the double doubles, that type of stuff is more attractive to voters than someone who sets the team up and is maybe the best player on the team. The last player who won that it wasn't like a wow score was Frank Mason. And that would so happen that his team was one of the better teams in the country, and he still scored about 18 per game, if I remember correctly. And honestly, I don't know if I agreed with him winning it that year either. So that's my 2 cents. I would say no. I almost went yellow, but I just think that there's going to be a Cam Boozer who scores 21 and 11 on a team that's a 1 seed. Or I don't know who it's going to be necessarily. Maybe it's a JT Toppin who puts up ridiculous numbers at Texas Tech. Maybe it's someone like that. I just think that the numbers aren't going to be in his favor. Maybe the impact will be. Like Cassius Winston didn't win it. Obviously, he played in the same year as Zion Williamson. But like Cassius Winston, I don't know if anyone had a bigger impact on their team that year than Cassius Winston did.
Yeah. Man, that's a good word. Okay, we'll see what happens with that. I like the green and I like the red. Yeah, it's great stuff. All right, Leaf, it's time for us to move on to segment 2 and our next game. A little over-under action. The SEC set an NCAA tournament record last year for the most teams by a single conference. How are they going to back it up? Leaf's going to give me that over-under coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Monarch Money. Do you ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO giving you full visibility of and control over all of your finances. Monarch is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, your investments, and your spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also working at building wealth for yourself and hopefully your future generations. Something I've found that I really love is that you have everything financial right there in one app. So instead of having to remember to use a whole bunch of different financial apps or to create a folder on your phone with all of them, no. You just go right to Monarch and it's right there. That makes managing the day-to-day of finances so much easier. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, that's monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Leaf, it's time for game number 2, over under. Last year, the SEC set an NCAA tournament record getting 14. It's still absurd to say it out loud. Teams into the NCAA tournament. I got to imagine that ain't happening again. There's, greater than 0% chance, but it's got to be low. I want to give you an over-under on how many SEC teams make it in the tournament, and I'm going to set it at 11 and a half. 11 and a half SEC teams in the 26 NCAA tournament, over or under?
I'm going over. I think that may be a shocking answer, but here's why. You pull up the SEC and I'll give you the locks. Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky. So that's 4 locks. Florida, that's 5 locks. So I feel very confident. 6 locks.
Say those again, just to make sure everybody has
Okay,
it.
so
Say the lock.
I got 6 locks now. I was going in alphabetical order. But in non-alphabetical order, the locks are Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama. So that's 6 locks. I think it's probable that Mississippi State and Ole Miss make it because I think they return enough structure from their teams last year that were both safely in the field.
So both Mississippis.
So that's 8 right there. I think it's probable that Texas A&M makes it. I think it's probable that Vanderbilt and Texas make it. And Vanderbilt, the reason I believe in that, because I think that's going to get some pushback, so I'll elaborate a little bit, is that they in year 1 under Byington did not have a roster that was constructed to the way that he had built rosters at James Madison before.
That's a good point.
And still made it. If he gets to build his roster, I'm pretty confident he'll make it. Okay. Texas A&M, I have some pause, but Buckyball with tremendous athletes, I think should make the tournament. I have a little bit of pause.
And he's got some dudes in, man. Like he did well in the portal.
Yeah, and he plays this mathematical style, but you actually put in big time athletes, and I believe that they'll make it. I think Missouri. So I think that was 9 by my count. Or no, sorry, that was
I think you're up to a 12.
That was 11. That was 11. So then that gives me Missouri
by my
and
count,
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So that's 13 to me. Those are the teams. And the teams that fall out, I think, are Georgia. They lose Silas Demery, Asa Newell. Like they lost a lot. LSU, I think, is kind of a team that has talent, but I don't see the structure with them. Yeah. And then South Carolina. So I really think that you're going to get 13 teams. I think it's possible that a Texas A&M doesn't coalesce and come together very well. I also think it's possible that a team like Oklahoma's talent level isn't high enough, but Porter Moser is a fantastic coach. So I'll never bet against him. And that even if 2 of those miss, I still am hitting the number, I think. So I think I'm getting 13. So I guess if one of them misses, I think it's more likely that it's 12 or 13 than it is 11. So that's why I'm going higher.
I think that seems to make some sense. So yeah, would you have had, so your struggle, if I had gone one team higher, if I'd gone 12.5, that would have been giving you some issues maybe.
I think the better in me would say it would be lower, but honestly, I think 13 teams make it. Yeah. I pulled up all the teams, I thought about it, and I don't know. And like Missouri could lose stuff, right? Like they could lose some pieces from last year, but this is a team that had 0 wins in SEC play all the way to being a 6th seed. Yeah. Like I'm going to be bullish on a team that makes that type of transitional growth. Same with Vanderbilt, which is another team I have some pause on. But I think that 13, and here's the overarching thing. This is bigger than just the over-under here. The SEC, because of the finances that are allowed by football, by NIL, and all the financial support that the SEC has for sports in general, allows for the SEC to handpick their teams. And what I mean by that is they'll have 8 players that are better than most conferences' 4th best player because they can handpick their entire roster, and it makes their depth so good that it's hard for them to lose games against teams that they're supposed to beat. So whereas a lot of teams, you go into March Madness and you say, well, it's pretty equal in terms of talent between an 11 seed and a 6 seed. If it's a high major versus a low major, that's no longer the case. Yeah. It is now a disparate world. They just happen to play in a really good conference, so accumulated losses. Yeah. I think the SEC, it was most notable, like Auburn. You wouldn't think of Auburn as a recruiting blue blood, but last year, the way that they built their roster, those guys who are 7 through 9 were enormous. They were strong. They were super talented.
It's crazy.
You look at Duke, they were handpicked, and all these teams. And I know I took 1 seeds, but the way that they were built was so intentional in a portal. I think that they can cherry pick talent, that the SEC is going to dominate non-conference again, and they'll be good enough in all those teams will have losses against one another, but they're going to be good enough as an overall body of work to make it again.
Yeah. I love it. Good explanation, good sound logic, and that's what we're looking for here. All right, Leaf, one more over under for you. 1.5 freshmen as consensus first team postseason All-Americans. One more time. Ooh, like 1.5 freshmen as consensus first team postseason All-Americans.
I'm going over.
Okay.
And I'll tell you who it's going to be.
I love it.
It's going to be Darryn Peterson at the point guard, and it's going to be Cam Boozer at the power forward.
Ooh, I hear some folks in your own state crying heresy. Why?
Well, I mean, he could be on there too. I went over, but those are the two I'm more confident in.
You're more confident in them than AJ. That makes
Well,
sense.
so Boozer's is an obvious one. I think Duke's going to be one of the best 4 or 5 teams in college basketball. He'll be the best player. Typically, that's a recipe for success, not to mention that there have been players at Duke recently as Cooper Flagg, and even going back to another power forward fairly recently, like Paolo Banchero.
Yep.
Like, they operate and give the ball to those guys at a rate that allows for a team to play through them and put up the statistics that garner National Player of the Year. Like, I wouldn't say guarantees it, but like
Yeah.
puts you in a really short list of National Player of the Year contenders. And Duke has the Zions of it all. I know that was before Shire, but you look at it, and I just think that he'll have the ball in his hands. They'll be a top 5 team, and that's how it's built. Now, for point guard, it gets a little trickier because Braden Smith, like you said about the National Player of the Year, and that's a real question. And the reason that's a real question is, can Darryn Peterson be so fantastic he edges out Braden Smith? The reason that I think he's got a better chance than a guy like AJ is I think Darryn Peterson can be the 1 or the 2. And I think everything's going to go through Darryn Peterson. AJ's got to play with Rob Wright, with a guy like Richie Saunders, who I think will be the best player on BYU once again. Not necessarily the best talent, but the most productive, most efficient player. So, and I also think Darryn Peterson's just unbelievable. Like, I think he's the best player Kansas has had since probably, I mean, Frank Mason won Player of the Year, but I think he's better than Frank Mason. And so I think that there's your answer. I would pick JT Toppin and Braden Smith as other guys I would consider. Trey Kaufman-Renn would have a chance. And, there's going to be someone like Jaden Quaintance, who I think will break out, or someone from a big school like that. So I'm going to go over. I'm not like absolutely confident because, you're picking 40% of the top 5 players there, but I am fairly confident in that pick.
I like what you ended up doing with it. Is it's not just about which freshman do I believe in. It's also what other players around the nation would garner those other spots and edge them out, right? Like, you have to consider both sides of that. And so I appreciate very much and was hoping you would do exactly what you did. Not just consider how much do I believe in Darryn, Cam, and AJ, and other players. Like, who knows what Nate Ament might do at Tennessee, right? But like, how much might upperclassmen around the country pop as well? Leaf, for what it's worth, a quick trivia before we get to our big trivia segment. When was the last time that the 1.5 freshmen hit the over in the postseason All-American consensus first team?
Okay, so
and
my brain
I've got a hint for you if you need help.
My brain immediately went to 2019 with Zion and RJ.
Boom, there it is.
Yeah, I felt
not only were they both freshmen, they were teammates, dude. It's insane.
I felt pretty confident in that. I'd be curious what the one before that one was.
I didn't go back earlier. I just stopped there because I frankly ran out of research time. But wait, it was the year before. There were 3. Yeah. Can you name those? There were 3 in 2018 that were consensus postseason first team All-Americans.
Trae Young, DeAndre Ayton, and it wasn't Jaron. Oh, it was Marvin Bagley.
There it is. Boom. 3. Wow, I forgot about that. That might have been the most ever if I'm thinking correctly.
It's got to be, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, crazy stuff. All right, Leaf, love it. I'm with you on the over. I don't think it'll be 3 though. I think only 2 of those 3 will make it. I just based on what happens and other guys around the country. So that'll be good. All right, coming up to wrap the show, Leaf. Very excited about this one. It's going to be Friday Facts Wednesday style, and Leaf, it's going to be a choose your own adventure kind of version. We'll pose those and then we're going to play through it together. Coming up to wrap the show in just a second. It's Friday Facts on a Wednesday. Andy and I already had a senior breakout show planned for Friday, so I thought it'd be fun for Leaf and I to do Friday Facts today so that we're not missing out. And here's how this is going to go. Again, Leaf has no clue what these questions are. I've got 2 of them planned. Leaf is going to choose which one we're going to do, and then we're going to talk through it together. Again, I know the questions because I came up with them, but I have not looked at the answers either. So, Leaf, here are your 2 possibilities. Number 1, name the number 1 seeds from each of the last 5 tournaments. So each tournament since COVID, the 1 seeds from all those. That would be 20 different answers. And then the other possibility is name each of the last 10 preseason AP number 1 teams.
Well, there's one I know I could ace, and that would look good. I can virtually guarantee I'll go 20 for 20 on the other one. So let's go AP number ones because I
Okay.
don't.
Okay. Perfect. I will let you pick. Are we going to do this most recent and work our way backwards, or start back in 2015-16 and work our way forwards?
I'm fine with either, honestly, because I have no idea. I'm not a big preseason. Once the season
I
started,
know.
I lock in. But here we go.
Yes. Okay.
I'm ready.
I feel like we should start at most because same for me. I'm like the factual things of like one seeds or who won the tournament. That's like locked in my head much better. This is not. So I think it'd be helpful to us if we started more recently and worked our
Okay,
way backwards.
I'm
And
on board with that.
part of that is I feel like, again, I haven't thought about this either. Purposely did not think about it, but we've had two recent examples of a team being preseason AP number one and then like not having a good year. And so I think
I know one of them. I know one of them.
yeah, same. So let's start with the 24-25 preseason AP number one.
I honestly don't even know. It's
I'm
got to be Kansas or Duke, right?
that my memory is that it was because last offseason we all said it would either be Kansas or somebody else. I don't think it was Duke.
Bama. It was Kansas or Bama.
Kansas or Bama. That was the whole conversation.
Yeah.
And I
so
think it was Kansas,
it was Kansas
one.
I'm
As the
pretty
second
confident.
recent example. Okay. And we're
And
not
then
going
the year,
to
and then the year before was Carolina coming off the championship or so I have 2 years before. 2 years.
That's right. So North Carolina is going to be the 2022-23 preseason number one.
Yep.
Because that's coming off that championship run. So again, we're going to double check our answers once we've done all 10 of them. But yes, I'm pretty positive in both of those, Leaf. All right. So the year in between 2023-24, we're coming off UConn's first of their two national championships.
I feel like it's got to be UConn, right?
It's got to be UConn, right?
But the only pause I have is Hunter Dickinson went to Kansas, and I think there's a chance that people went with Kansas, but it's got to be UConn or Kansas.
I feel that's right. I would lean UConn, but I agree that does give me some pause now that you say it.
Okay, yeah.
Which one you want to go with?
Ooh, they lost Tristan Newton. They lost. I'm gonna go Kansas. I have a hunch it's Kansas, even though I'm pretty sure I picked UConn in our poll though.
Okay. I'm going to cross out UConn, but I'm going to leave their name on there. Kansas, though, is our official pick for back-to-back preseason AP number ones. All right, Leaf. Oh, now it gets harder because we're getting further away. 2021-22. So we're coming off the Baylor National Championship.
Yes. And let's think about how the season went. That leads to Kansas winning it.
Kansas ultimately
over
winning.
Carolina. Baylor had a good team, but I don't think anyone would have thought that was a 1 seed or like the best team coming
the overall number one. Would that have been who all was? I often think to Duke or Kentucky and all their, because they usually get a lot of offseason hype because of their incoming freshmen.
That was the Paolo Banchero team.
Yeah.
So that was a good team. I don't feel like they were preseason number one though.
Yeah.
And I don't think Kentucky was that great. That was a bad year for Kentucky.
Yeah. So, that was also, I feel like also, and maybe not, this is coming off, excuse me.
Well, I got it. It's going to be Gonzaga.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Gonzaga was preseason number one quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm going to go Gonzaga.
Okay. So let's cross out those other ones. We're going Gonzaga is our official choice. I feel like they're going to be on this list a couple times, actually.
Yeah. And then Gonzaga is probably number one the year prior where they went undefeated up until losing to Baylor.
Yes. In 2020-21.
Yep.
And the only thing I would think is, because I feel like they were preseason number one back-to-back years, right?
I don't remember that narrative, but I do feel confident that they were 2020/2021 number one. And I'd imagine getting Chet Holmgren and keeping Timmy kept them. So I feel pretty good about that. So we got Kansas, Carolina, Gonzaga right now.
Yeah, that's nuts.
With the slash of UConn for the second one at Kansas.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I feel pretty good about that.
Okay, so let's go to the first five. Okay. So next is the season that got canceled.
Yep.
So the 2019-20 season. I remember The Maui final was Dayton and Kansas.
Yep.
Um,
and those were good teams, but I don't remember.
Dayton wouldn't be preseason number 1.
They went. I don't think Kansas with Udoka Azubuike was number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so who else would Kentucky finish the year strong with Ashton Hagens, Tyrese Maxey?
You mean the year before?
Yeah. Wasn't that year? Because they didn't play the tournament.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that is that year. I don't think Kentucky was the one though.
Yep. San Diego State had a good team, but I don't think they would have been preseason number 1. Who else? Man, 19. Michigan State was really good.
That's Winston.
Yep.
But so the year prior was Duke blasting Michigan State. Absolutely, again, beating Kentucky. Sorry, beating Kentucky.
Michigan State beat Zion in the tournament. I remember that.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure Duke. So Maxey played. Tyrese Maxey hit a 30-footer against Michigan State in Champions Classic that year. And for some reason, my brain's telling me that one of the teams in Champions Classic was the number 1 overall seed. Or sorry, number 1 overall AP poll. So I'm gonna go with Sparty. This is a shot in the dark.
I like it. No, that makes some sense to me, Leaf. Let's go with it, Sparty. I also remember because didn't Zion I thought they trucked Kentucky in Champions Classic that year.
They did. So I misspoke. I was thinking the year behind. So Duke beat Kentucky in 2018/2019.
Okay.
And in 2019/2020, Kentucky played Michigan State. And I'm pretty sure Michigan State was leading for a while. And then Max hit a 30-footer.
Okay. So we got 4 more to do. 18. We got to go a little bit more quickly on these last couple. 18-19 preseason.
I think Kentucky was number 1. It was either Kentucky or Duke, and Duke beat them by 1 billion.
Yeah. Duke, we just talked about that crazy freshman class with RJ, with Zion, with, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Cam Reddish. Thank you.
And Trey Jones.
And Trey Jones. Good grief. The fact that it's a top 10 ranked player in the class is and Trey Jones is hilarious. Man, it could have been Duke.
I think Kentucky was ranked higher.
All right, let's go Kentucky. And then 17-18 season. This is coming off a North Carolina championship. This was a Villanova championship. I don't think that Carolina team would have been preseason number 1.
No. Would it have been Nova because they kept Brunson?
Yeah.
It should have been. That team was loaded.
That's right.
The only other one that comes to my mind is, could it have been Gonzaga?
Again?
Yeah, because they lost in the championship, and they lost Williams Goss.
And Chet, and Karnowski. Shemek was gone.
I don't think it's Gonzaga. So, yeah. And was
Let's go Nova.
Yeah, I think Nova's probably the pick. I don't remember them being one. The only other one I thought of would be Virginia. Because they kept a lot of guys. That was the second year, and they went 34-3 that year before losing to UMBC. Yeah, let's go Nova. I'm not confident in that one though.
Okay. 17
would have been Nova just one.
I think it was Duke. I feel like Duke has more of these than I think picked Duke, and I know Duke has been preseason number 1 multiple times in the past decade.
Duke with Marvin Bagley, the one we just did, might have had some credence to it. I also wonder if it was Kansas because they played that crazy elite. Anyway, sorry, I'm going back. I'm tracking a couple years.
Wait, no, right now. I think Duke was in 17-18. Is that what you're saying?
I think it was because they got Marvin Bagley late, and he reclassified.
Yeah, let's switch out Nova for Duke there.
Yeah, and I think Nova was the year before. After winning the first one, they kept Josh Hart.
Yeah, but I don't know why. I remember Duke being preseason number 1 back to back.
They had Jason Tatum. They had Jason Tatum, Frank Jackson, all these guys, Luke Kennard, Grayson Allen. I don't hate it. It would be weird, though. Can you imagine the outrage of a Carolina fan after losing the championship, and Duke leapfrogging them after Duke lost in?
But it's what happens every year. And I can say this: I can confidently wrap this segment by saying that North Carolina was preseason number 1 in 15-16.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So we'll go Duke 2 years in a row, Carolina to finish. Because I remember Carolina being 1 as well. Also, side note, you're going to love this, and everyone else in here, most underrated player of the ACC the last decade, Bryce Johnson.
Oh, dude, that year he had in 15-16 was stupid.
The 15-16 All-Americans should have just been the ACC. I've thought about this a lot of times.
Man,
Malcolm Brogdon was fantastic. Bryce Johnson was unbelievable. And that year was crazy. Buddy Hield deserved the player of the year, though. I'll give him that.
Okay, let's go back through it. Leaf, do you want to start? You want to go in the same order we just did this? Or do you want to start?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I've got it pulled up on my other screen. 24-25. Our answer was Kansas. This is correct. 1 for 1. 23-24. Our answer was also Kansas. You were correct. And we switched. We had UConn initially.
I had just a little birdie in my ear. I was just thinking back, and I actually weirdly remember when the poll came out, I was walking into the Delta Center where the Jazz played, and I walked in and I was like, that's a terrible pick. And that's how I remembered it.
I love it, dude. Great. I'm so glad you had us change there. Okay. 2022-23. We felt very confident in this one was North Carolina. That is correct. 2021-22. We picked Gonzaga. And that is correct. Yes, over UCLA was number 2, not Baylor, Kansas, or Duke. So we are 4 for 4. 2020-21, we felt pretty confident that Gonzaga was back-to-back, and indeed they were over Baylor. Barely. By literally 1 point, Leaf. 1,541 points to 1,540 points. Gonzaga over. Wow, so 5 for 5 to start. Going back to 2019-20. We went Michigan State late on this one, and another good switch. Leaf, Michigan State number 1 in 1920. All right, 2018-19. We went Kentucky. They were number 2. Number 1 was not the other team that we thought about. Duke was 4th preseason. It was the Kansas Jayhawks again.
Gosh, dang it. So I knew it was in Champions Classic. That was my one parameter on that one.
All right. So our final 3, we went Duke. No, it's okay. Look, we've got all but one. 17-18, we went Duke, and that is correct by a pretty comfortable margin over Michigan State, 2nd, and then Arizona, then Kansas, Kentucky is your top 5. 16-17, once again, we went Duke back-to-back, and that is correct. They, significantly over number 2 Kentucky in the 16-17 season. And then 15-16, the first year we went Carolina. And yes, Carolina was number 1 overall. 5 different teams got first place votes. Carolina, Kentucky, Maryland, Kansas, and Virginia all got a first place vote. So Leaf.
Trimble action right there.
Yes. Hey, 9 out of 10, my guy. That's not bad.
I'm bugged because I knew that Kentucky was wrong. I knew it was wrong because I didn't remember Zion beating number 1. I remember where I was for that game. I was playing pickup basketball my freshman year of college, and as the game started, I would sit and loiter by the one area where you could see a screen, and I remember being like, well, does that really say like 30-point like, are they up 50-20 right now? Like, I remember like squinting through this thing through the gym and just like trying to see, and I knew it wasn't number 1. I knew someone in the Champions Classic had it. I should have thought about it and gotten Kansas. I'm annoyed at myself, but At least that one was more challenging. Whereas the 1 seeds, I feel like I could have rattled off really fast.
Yeah, probably pretty easy. That's good stuff, man. That was fun to do together, Leaf. Thanks for indulging me, although I know it was a present to you. Guys, thanks so much for Guys, thanks so much for joining us. You know what to do. Subscribe to the show everywhere you can find it on video and audio. Leaf, we hope you have a great time in Vancouver. As you were watching or listening to this, folks, Leaf is already there, living it up. If you have not joined the Locked On College Basketball Discord, we'd love to see you in there. That link's in the show notes. As always, apologies to the Lawyer family. Let's go Wild Popes. Cheers to the McBruins. And until tomorrow, peace.